I miss you. You look tropical in the background with all your plants.
Thank you. I just gave them a bath too, so they've been freshly watered.
Yeah.
So even better.
Okay, I have a very important question. Do you wipe the leaves down? Because I get lazy about it and I feel like I'm supposed to. No?
I think I know that we're supposed to, and I absolutely don't, and I absolutely need to because I've got two downstairs that are huge and gorgeous, and they are just dull looking. But no, I don't.
That's what she said. No, I'm just kidding. I feel like I just some of them get dusty and then the leaves die, and I don't know if the leaves died because it's their time or if it's because I didn't dust them.
Dust doesn't kill them. I mean, like they're still getting. It's probably not great for the leaves, but I don't think it's the dust that'll kill them. It's the neglect.
I guess. I don't like literally. So I don't know if you know this because you haven't been here, but since COVID started, like my brother was here and he had never been to our house, and he was like, "You have a lot of plants," and I was like, "I do, all over, especially upstairs." And because just with COVID, I just started. So it's COVID and it was Costco. So every time you go to Costco, when they have, I have tall ceilings, so they have like 6 foot plants. So I just, and they're only like $25, $30. Yes, please. So I just buy
I
them.
I got way into the kind of underground plant dealing scene of COVID during COVID. Of like, I'm on all these like local groups where people are like, I've got cuttings of this for free, or hey, I'm selling a rooted this or what for like a really cheap price. And so I have a lot of shit that I got for free or for trade or for like whatever, where people are just they were moving and they couldn't take plants with them, or they like
Yeah,
gave a plant a haircut and had trimmings to give out. So I ended up getting most of this from that.
you did it smarter than me. And then I try to do the clippings thing and it doesn't. Sometimes it works. I don't know. I don't really know what I'm doing. I didn't really learn.
I it was trial and error for me too. There's a
Yeah.
lot of stuff that I just like I was like, I'll just figure this out. And for the most part, I've got it going pretty good. And then my mother-in-law also has tons of plants, and she got excited
Mhm.
when I got into plants. So there's some of these, like these ones in the green pots back there, she
Yeah.
gave me. And there's other like clippings that when I first started, she was like, take this, take this, take this.
Well, I love it. It does make me happier, but I've been like if I ever move or downsize, like I don't it like the plants that I have right now directly correlate to the window space I have in this
Yes,
home.
yes, yes. I'm to the point too where like where this is we get excellent sun here. This is a south
Yeah.
facing, this room. This is the south facing window. Um I have a lot more plants that need either direct or slightly indirect light, and like no other windows in the house are decent all year round, I should say. Like in the back hall we could do plants, but we can't do them
Yeah.
in the cold weather. So I'm gonna get to a point where some of these get big enough that I'm just gonna have to like, I don't know, get rid of them. I don't know where
Yeah,
to,
or
like, I don't
I
know where to
don't
put them in the house.
I move them around there like with layers and elevation so that they all can be there. But I mean, you've got one of those. Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Whatever. It all works. It's what just throw them outside and be like, fuck it. That was a nice 5 years.
We had a good run.
That's what I do with my real relationships. I might as well do it with my plans too. Just throw them outside.
So everything comes to an end. It's time.
I
I'm so
don't know
proud.
why that made me think of. Weren't you at my house the day that my mom threw my fish outside in the backyard when we were little?
Not the fish. I was not there for the fish.
There was okay, I had a fish tank. Do you remember the Aladdin fish tank that I got in eighth
Yes,
grade?
yes,
So it
yes,
was a fish
yes,
tank and it had Aladdin and Jasmine on the carpet
yes.
in it. And then I neglected it and I was a teenager and the only fish that was alive was the Plecostomus, the gross like catfishy bottom feeder one, because
Mhm.
those things like never die. And I was finally like, I just wanted to be done with the fish tank because I was like 16 and it was disgusting because you had to clean all the poop out of it and I never did. And then so I tried to flush it and it was so big the Plecostomus that it wouldn't go down the toilet. It was alive. And so it was winter in Wisconsin. And so it was, my mom was like, that's it. Never, just Jesus Christ. So she came and she got the fish net and scooped it out of the toilet. And you remember the house on Radcliffe I grew up in, the sliding glass doors in the back? She went to the sliding glass door in winter and she just went to like throw the Plecostomus and it was sticking in the net. And she was like, ah! And she was just screaming. And then finally she just threw the whole net into the woods and then closed the door and was like,
Oh my
done.
God.
That's how we
I
got rid
mean,
of pets in my family.
That's how, I mean, it's effective, I suppose.
That's how crows end relationships.
I mean, I feel like there's a lot of metaphors there.
It's
We could really unpack that shit for hours.
it's exactly like what I'm gonna do with the plant, but we just throw it outside screaming someday and
Run.
then never. And then when I still bring it up and I'm like, do you remember what you did to that fish? And she was like, that fish didn't feel anything. Okay. It's so funny. So you've been listening to the podcast.
I have been listening to the podcast. It has been so fun to listen to. Both, knowing you so well. So like having, the people that I know come on and talk to you, the one with Andy, the one with your mom, and then the people I don't know, but that have gotten to know you really well over these last few years, like
Yeah.
a kind of a different part of you that I don't know as well.
Yeah.
It's really like truly self-indulgent on my part just to dig in and be like, I'm going to learn more. And I know like all of your reference stories, and like when you're talking to people about things, it's like, oh, I know that, or I was there for that. And it's really
Yeah.
like, it's totally inside baseball, and it's been really fun. I think also too, because I don't TikTok, and it's not any sort of like, I think I'm better than TikTok. I just hate watching videos. Like I'll
Yeah.
watch a dog video here or there, but like it's my preferred like social media indulgence is scrolling through Twitter, because like it's quick and I can just go.
Yeah.
But like you've got this whole world on TikTok that I've not been, that
Yeah.
I don't know. So this is fun. Like the podcast world is a fun way for me to like get into that part of your brain now, since it's,
Yeah.
it's I'm learning the parts of you that have been away from the last few years. So it's been really great.
Yeah, it's so funny when you said that. I was like, oh, that's so like that would be. I was like, actually, you're right. Like if you did a podcast and you talked to all these random people in your life, that would be my favorite thing because you've been one of my best friends like my whole
Yeah.
life. So of course,
You know the people, you know the
yeah,
stories, you know the stuff, you'd know like the inside stories to them. Like maybe you'd find out
yeah,
like like it would just, it's so great. It's so
yeah.
good.
And then it's funny. So I think I told you this past month, like I've been going through what spiritual people call like a dark night of the soul, just like a time of reflection and like, it's just been rough, like a rough mental health month. But I think culminated and I texted you, I think the next day, Monday night when I had to go to the ER, which I ended up being fine, but like, because I thought my bronchitis was worse. And it's just long COVID, but like I kind of had this realization as I was in the ER crying. I was literally sobbing because I'm like, I don't have anyone that loves me. I'm all alone. I'm like, well, that's not true. I have to face the fact that I put myself in this situation where I live 2 hours away from my closest friends and family, and I was going through a rough time, and I did a self isolation thing, or everything. I mean, there also were choices unrelated, right? But like it's not exactly, I can look at it from this old victim place of like, I'm just alone and nobody loves me, but that's not true. Okay. So like, I was like, if I were in Milwaukee right now, like, first of all, my sister-in-law would be the first one to come sit right here. And like, I texted Michelle that the next day and we barely talk anymore because has been complicated. But even she was like, absolutely, I would be there immediately. Like, I have a lot of, and then I have you and Jenny are my oldest best friends. And I was like, I need to text Beth tomorrow. And even like, Beth and Katie and have the three of us plan a dinner. I need to text Jenny and say I need you, me, and Eileen to have a dinner, and like I want to do things with that all four of those people with their kids too. Like, there's no reason not to anymore. I think COVID, I got so used to not doing anything because we couldn't that like I forgot to start reaching out, and then everything started to decline. So like I think I went through a lot of that stuff. But it's funny because I was on the phone with Jenny for an hour this morning. We hadn't talked in months, and so it's like this is a good morning for me because I get both my two very best friends for my whole life. But she said, "Yeah, I guess I forgot that I like haven't even." The way she said it was like, "I guess I forget because I see you every day on Instagram." That we're not talking, and I'm like, I don't even think about the fact that you guys see me talking. And my mom will say that too. She's like, I just listen to your lives or I watch some of your content sometimes, and it's so nice to just hear your voice. But like that sometimes fills people's cups in a way, and then I haven't talked to any of you, so I'm just like, it's weird is all I'm
It's
saying.
wild that like, yeah, your closest relationships are becoming parasocial in a way that where, we're getting all of the information. It's, the same as following an Instagram account of like, you're our local celebrity that we're following on social media. So we get all the information, but then you
Yeah.
don't know the stuff about us.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm glad too that you're actively reaching out. First of all, I just want to say I just like knowing what's going on, and when
Yeah.
things are rough, even if I can't do anything, I just want to know. Like as much as I want to know when things are good, I want to know when things are not good too. But I
Well, you and
agree.
I are better about, I don't
Quick
know,
text. Yeah,
yeah, quick
yeah,
texts, and I'm good at those.
yeah. I am too. I think you and I have really similar communication patterns. You and I are both. I think you and I both are so similar in the way that we love canceled plans more than anything,
Yes,
and we're
always.
we're both extroverted introverts, and we love to be home. And sometimes when we look around and we realize that we've isolated ourselves so much, and certainly I think the last 2 years, I'm sure there were parts of it over the last couple of years where you were like, this is fucking great, I love
Yeah.
it. Because I know
Yes.
there were parts to me
Yes.
where I was like, I don't have to think about excuses to cancel plans, I can just stay home. And then
Yeah.
now I'm kind of looking around and I'm like, oh, now I feel sad though, because I haven't seen people.
Yes.
And it's weird. It's weird to have that realization. I think a lot of people are, but I think those of us that enjoyed a little bit of the isolation are coming to realize that we need a little bit more balance. I know, people who are more extroverted certainly struggled a lot more with that isolation. Like I would watch Nick when he would do like Zooms with family members or friends, and he just lived for it. And he could stay
Mhm.
on a Zoom with like friends or family for hours, and it just drained me and I hated it. And
Yeah,
like
me too.
he needed it, and that's what he like, because he needs that interaction, and I need just a little, and then I want to go away.
Yeah, and but that was kind of what I was realizing too, because I'm with you on that. The first, like, what the quarantine for a while, I was like, this is fantastic. Like, I don't want this to ever. I want everything to be virtual my whole life, which I kind of did change that. But I I like, if I love having people around, then I need to find a way to be, I don't want to say forgiving or patient, but like I need to not be so hypercritical of everyone and everything, and have to retreat back into myself all the time. Like I want to heal that more, because it's not like I'm criticizing everyone, but like I get sick of everyone pretty quickly, and then I need to go back to my hermit mode.
I'm the same. I'm the exact same. I think about this, makes me laugh. There was this one time, it was when we were in our early 20s. I think I don't know if I was back living in Milwaukee or if it was like a summer that I was home. And like you and I hadn't seen each other in maybe like, I don't know, like a year or 6 months. And it was one of these things where we made plans to go out and like meet at a bar or something. And like, I was excited to see you, but like you had called me and you're like, yeah, I just don't wanna. And I was like, you know what? Actually, same. And I was like, there's only a certain type of friend that you can just be like, not feeling it. Like, love you, favorite person, haven't seen you in months, but just kind of don't feel it. And like at the time,
Yeah.
I just thought it was so great because I was like, I totally understand, and this is hilarious. And like
Yeah.
there was probably many of those instances, and I feel like you and I both did that to each other, and I feel like we both
Yeah.
get it. So that's, I think, one of the reasons we've been able to stay
Yeah.
friends and not ice each other out over the years, because we both get it. You know what I mean?
I don't think either one of us is, I can't remember the last time where I've taken anything personally that has ever happened between us. It's
Yeah.
been a very long time,
Yeah.
and maybe when we lived across the street from each other and saw each other more, it was a little easier to get irritated with each other sometimes. But even then, like I think that's what's good about our friendship. I just don't take any of it personally, and neither do you, because we know it's not about.
Mhm.
You're like, I love you, and it has nothing to do with me if you don't want to see me.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like,
We both have our weird like things with needing to protect our energy, and at times, and we just yeah, we
we're good at boundaries, but we're good at respecting each other's. I've not always been good at boundaries with everyone else. I don't know. I would say the thing I said to you, I've always done to people, and that does drive some people nuts. But I don't care, because you can't make me do anything I don't want to do.
I think some people consider it like rude or a slight, and I get that. I totally get that. But I love a canceled plan. I love a canceled plan. It's the best.
Um, Now when I've been dating, I do not
Oh
enjoy
yeah.
then I
No,
take it so personally. It's crazy how like all of a sudden that dynamic changes.
I can imagine. Yeah, I think that's a different, different type of scenario. I can see how that would be.
Yeah. But I, on the flip side, I would cancel on people I was dating in the same way I said it to you and not feel bad about it. Oh, oh well. I
Well,
don't know. It's so funny. I will say, and I think so you've heard some of the podcasts, but like I guess I didn't realize um how like some of the things I just do and some of the blunt things I say and the way I don't have you you may not know this about me, but I don't have a lot of emotional depth. And I never
you've said that on so many of these podcasts where you're
I
like,
know.
I don't have emotion, like I got nothing going on, or like I have no clue, or I'm completely, and I laugh because like I get why you're saying that. Like I don't think it's entirely true, but like I totally like also I see why you say that. It makes me laugh every time.
I until I've been doing this, been in this world that's TikTok and dating and all this other stuff, but I didn't realize that that was a I thought everyone just thought like me and just was like so that's why I say it because I don't and in dating it's been a little rough because every like a lot of the guys I would be dating would be like I can't wait to get to know like the real Ange behind these TikToks and like the softer side of and I was like ooh I'm gonna get dumped because that's this is what it is.
Our time is limited, sir.
It's just that that's what she said jokes and burping
Yeah,
and I
yeah.
love you, you know, but that's it. I don't know. I think I have feelings, but I'm not like a you know what I mean? I don't know how to describe it.
You you play your cards close to the, you definitely have feelings, and I've witnessed you and been with you through
Yeah.
multiple emotions on, for multiple things. You definitely have feelings. I think like day-to-day stuff, you definitely feel big, big feelings and express big feelings. But I think there's you kind of play your cards close to the chest a little bit in the kind of in between zone, right? And I think I kind of do that a little bit too. Like
Yeah.
I recognize it because I do that a little bit too. And I don't know if it's dealing with childhood stuff or just our like Norwegian upper Midwestern upbringing, like our
Yeah.
the stoicism of like, we just kind of don't play into a lot of those, like a lot of those emotions. I don't know what it is, but um
I have decided it's astrology.
I love it. Why not?
It's
Why not?
people I gotta look at your chart again. I mean you're an
Yeah,
Aquarius sun, but
yeah.
people with heavy water placements in their chart are like the crybabies who are constantly I don't know, like I don't think any of your kids are even like that. Nick's really emotional. Like
He's
he's
super emotional. Yeah, he's very, very in touch with his emotions. So like I guess we balance each other out in that way where
yes.
I'm so much more removed from my own emotions. And we laugh about this, that whenever like I get big news or whenever something really emotional happens, I won't react right away. And then 3 days later, out of nowhere, I will just start crying randomly
Yeah.
or something will hit me. And it's like a hand grenade where it
Oh,
just like goes off and like, or I'll start laughing hysterically or whatever it is. Like
yeah.
my reaction takes a while and it's not even something like I'll think about or feel. It'll just creep up on me and do its own thing.
Yeah. Yeah. Radley's very emotional. And
Yeah.
he and like when we argue about things, that's usually what he's mad at me about because he's like, you just keep talking about feelings like it's the same as having them. And I'm like, it is. Communicating your feelings. And he's like, no, you don't actually care though. I'm like, I do. This is how I show that I care by talking about my feelings.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like it's more of like the logical because I'm air. Air is like the thought process. I don't know. I think you're really good at communicating too. I think like you articulate them through but it's just there was some reality show that Jared and I were watching once a really long time ago where he was like that is so you and I think you and I are this way where there was like this lady and she was sitting there and her husband and her were having this big emotional conversation and she was like she looked just like that. Like, she was like I'm so mad right now. She had like she had no emotion on her face or intonation in her voice. Like
Yeah,
that's how
that's
you and I get, and we mean
yeah,
it, but like we're
yeah,
not gonna like
yeah. Yeah, that's 100. Like I can identify it. It almost feels robotic at times. Like, oh, there's an emotion.
Yes.
I can identify it. Here are the 3 reasons why I'm feeling it. And,
Yes.
like, does it make sense that I'm like you? Then you analyze it. Like, does it make sense why I'm feeling this now? And like you think about all of the
Yeah.
mechanics about it, and you don't actually feel it until 3 days later in the grocery store. You start crying.
Yes. Well, and that's what I was talking to my other best friend, Texas Danny, not Wisconsin Danny,
Mhm.
yesterday. And I said, I feel so much better because now that I've been on prednisone and antibiotics, like, I go, I don't think you realize how bad I was. Like, even Monday night, I'm like, I literally was so hopeless. I wanted to die. And she was like, I guess I didn't because you just say it like that. Like it's like it's the same as like I think I want to get a cat today or like you know what I mean? Like I shouldn't say that, but you know like it is it's the way that I say things sometimes. It's like I'm saying a big thing. I think that's been kind of one of my downfalls. And my whole thing in life is always like nobody ever listens to me, but it's I'm saying a thing in a very monotone way that sounds robotic, but it's a big thing for me.
Well, it's protection, right? Like you do it probably for protection a little bit. And if you've not been, properly taught that emotions are, okay to feel or how to deal with them,
Yeah.
then, you maybe put up this wall so that you don't, so that you can show that you can manage your emotions and feelings when sometimes we just need to feel them. And that's really hard when you don't really have a good,
Yeah, but I think I would argue that some people just this is we all feel differently. Like I think
yeah, that's true.
I've done a lot of work looking at I used to do the wall thing more, but it's me being vulnerable now, it's literally just me saying the thing in a very robotic voice. But that's me being vulnerable. So then people are like, I don't know. I've noticed with guys I was dating too, like they expect I think for me more than anything, I've learned that I want peace now. I don't want to live in the drama like I grew up in. And like I love my mom, but she's very dramatic and so I don't want to be that animated all the time.
It's draining.
It is, it takes so much energy.
Yeah.
And that's
Um,
why then you need to go sit alone for a while because it's like you just did a bit. Like
right. And it's boring is good. I've come to determine no news is good news and boring is good. And like I don't know. I feel that if there's not the big highs and the big lows, it feels manageable, I guess.
I agree. That's why I've not been dating since the last breakup too. Because I'm just I don't know. I just like if I want to have a family, I want to be in a loving relationship. I want to have like a household full of people that I love. And if it were as simple as like just meeting a person that was great and like having that happen, that would be very healing and that would be wonderful.
Hmm.
But the dating process of like going through people at this point and the kind of like little setbacks in the way of damaging your soul in the way of healing that it takes just to sort through them to
Hmm.
me is not worth the risk right now. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah, it's something that you're not wanting to spend your energy on. Side
Yeah.
note, I've really part of why I've one of the many reasons I love listening to this podcast is hearing you talk about the relationships you've had over the past few years. Because
Yeah.
you kept me updated, every once in a like I do, and it's not a like, oh, I wish you would tell me more. Like you tell me what you need to tell me when you need to tell me it, and I'm just along for the ride. But like I feel like I'm getting more information about some of the relationships, and
Yeah.
I'm just loving it. I'm loving like hearing about
Yeah.
like and and some of them you know some of them I would hear about, and some of them I feel like I've given nicknames to in when you've texted me information about them, so it's like, oh, that's that guy. But I do really like getting the insight on kind of what the like how the relationships have played out and kind of how they've affected you both kind of positively or and even sometimes negatively too, like as
Yeah.
much as don't like knowing that your heart has been broken or that you've gone through that stuff. It's just I like hearing your perspective on it. And it's one thing to hear about it in a conversation with you and me, but everyone, you communicate with people differently. Everybody communicates with all their different people differently. So to hear
Yeah.
like how you would talk about this with somebody else, it's really cool to hear.
Yeah, I think about it well like with you it's you've got I don't bug you with drama because that's just not like you when you have time to like take in the story. That's why the podcast format for is helpful for a friendship because then it's like, okay, I'm folding laundry and I have time, then I want to hear something entertaining. This is a great time to hear about Angela's dating life. But like there in the beginning when I started dating, there were so many people coming in and out of my life so fast that I realized normal people like you or Jenny, like people that are not also dating a million people had, and even people that were had no capacity to remember who I was even talking about. So
Yeah,
I
I got confused a few times early on, and I was like, wait, is this the whatever? And you're like, no, no,
yes.
no, that's not him. This is whoever. And yeah, it was, but like it wasn't like gosh, Angela's going through them. You know, it wasn't like that. It was just yeah, the capacity to
Yeah.
kind of latch onto the stories and kind of digest them on my end was not as much there.
Well, because also like, then 3 weeks later, you'd be like, "How are things going with so and so?" And I'd be like, "Who?"
Yeah.
Because I had already, I
It's
keep,
true. It's true.
this is terrible, but the boyfriend I had in June, I still don't remember. I get his name wrong all the time. I have to ask Danny. I'm like, "Was it Brent or Brad?" And she's like, I don't remember. I don't, she knows. So I check with her. I mean, it was only like 3 weeks. It doesn't fucking matter, but like literally full on boyfriend label. And I don't remember his name. So I don't need to, I don't need to tell everyone. I share on here because it helps. The stories help people for
Mhm.
some reason. So, but like, yeah, I just stopped. It's also stupid. It's just such a waste of energy too. Like I've learned from all these things, but like it's just been such a what I realize now is that, I jumped out of a really rough relationship with, with Jared, with my ex-husband, and I really thought I had done enough healing work because of the EMDR and everything, and that I could just go find the right person and have another baby and get married and like we'd be okay, this is good. I'm healed now. And I unknowingly just jumped right into the lion's den and backtracked my healing and like fortunately, I documented it all on TikTok and made a living out of it. So, I mean, like, it's not for nothing, but I realize now, like, okay, I actually need to, like, get solid on my own because I still kind of hate myself again after everything I just put myself through. And I re traumatized myself in a lot of relationships since Jared. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Oh yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And I think, I mean, I think there's some kind of natural like progression to like when a long-term relationship ends, especially when a marriage ends, and especially, when you guys were together for so long,
Yeah.
that there is going to be a little bit of a like wanting to meet different people, try out different, like it's it's a new world after you've been in a long-term relationship, right? And it was probably, I'm guessing the dating world was significantly different
Oh my God.
when you like the stuff that I hear from anyone I know that's dating. I just it's just horrifying. And I if Nick is ever hit by a bus, I'm never gonna date is the thing.
Wow, I'm so good at it now that I can coach anyone through it. Like I know that was the thing. I was like a lamb for slaughter on dating apps. Like you don't realize most of, especially if you're a woman, most of the guys around our age, plus or minus, like have just been on these apps for a while and they use them to whatever they're looking like they're not there for relationships, but they're not saying that. So it was like I was literally like a lamb for and I'm not trying to be a victim, but like I wasn't. It's a really bad, terrible place for a whole bunch of people who are terrible at boundaries to all show up and then ruin each other's lives, and that's what it is. And like, yeah, so like I had no idea what was going on because every guy I meet, every guy I date is like, oh my gosh, I love you, like I love you, you're my person, like right away, and I'm like, oh, I knew this was coming. Thank you, Lord. So stupid. I'm like, okay, I am great. Thank you. Finally someone gets it. And then
And he gets it right away. We didn't even have to go through anything. Like he just knows that I'm great and knows that he loves me.
yeah,
Oh
and
my
he's so nice and he's not like, calling me a cunt or like
not yet. Not yet.
anything. So like literally, and then the thing is too, especially when I feel like the more like fake I got with my appearance too, or like because I went through a thing of like, oh, if I just like super pretty and like do all these things to myself, it made it worse because then guys are not even they're not even getting to know you at all. And then it's 3 weeks in and they're like, I don't like you. But they don't say that. They just say like, I've just realized I don't think it's a good match or I've got some demons or blah. But it's really because they're like I didn't even listen to a word she said for the first 2 weeks. Do you know what I mean? Like that's
Yeah,
what was happening to
yeah.
me. So now I'm just gonna try to be ugly again, and then
I gotta say though, like your whole like makeup thing, you're like I was when I was getting ready, I was like, well, Angela wears makeup and she knows how to do this now, and I don't know how to do any of this anymore. So I
oh my
like
gosh,
I put effort in because I usually don't wear much, but like I wanted to I've noticed in the little clips of the videos of your TikToks that I have seen, or like on Instagram, I'm like, "Gosh,
hmm.
she knows how to do
I
things
did
now. I
learn
don't know how to
because
do them.
Gen Z taught us on TikTok, and so I just do what they say.
I
I
do
do.
ask my teenage daughter for tips
Yeah,
now. Like, and she did my eyeliner for a thing this summer, and it does help to have a teen in the house, I will say, for advice on that kind of thing.
yeah. I like a fucking contour. It's really just like stage makeup mixed with the MAC counter, but like mind blowing. I can have when I look at pictures of us in our 20s now, I'm like we could have looked so much better had we known. We could have if we could time travel. If time travel was a thing, I would use it to teach 2000 me, 2000 the year 2000. I would teach
Yeah,
2000 me contouring, and
yeah.
I would just fucking I would have every dude I ever wanted.
I
I
love
would.
it. So so then the secret is, should Nick get hit by a bus, I should learn how to contour.
I'll
Take
teach
it
you.
from- okay.
Yeah. No, just be prettier. No, I'm just kidding. You look gorgeous, by the way. You look, and it's funny because we're talking about lip injections, and when I think of people with the best lips, you have always had like your lips are what people to go to get injections to be like Beth. So when you said that, I was like, why in the world would you ever do that?
It's less that I think that I don't have lips or need them. It's more that I've always been one of these, like, I just want to experience everything
I
once to say
know.
that I have. And I've kind of been, I did a lot of that for many years, and there's a little bit less of that to kind of do. And I don't know, I haven't been,
Yeah.
I'm not feeling as adventurous, but it's like, that's why I got my eyebrows microbladed, even
It
though
looks
like
so
I don't
good.
really care about like that kind of thing. But I have a friend who was doing it, and I was like, yeah, I'll just try it just to try it. And like with the lip injections too, like I don't know, it's just to see what I would look like and just to do it. But if you say that it's the most painful thing, then I'm good, because the eyebrows, I cried like so hard with the eyebrows. It was really painful.
Pussy. No, I'm just
I
kidding.
know.
It was the lip injections are terrible. The microblading was, I don't know, maybe because I don't know why that didn't hurt as much for me. It hurt, but it was like fine. It was just, but the lip injections are awful. It's only like 10 minutes, but it's like I mean, they're literally, they numb, but you can't
Yeah,
numb inside your lips. So there's
yeah,
needles going into your lip. And like, so I already have a full bottom lip. So they
yeah.
just did the top one mostly and just like the edges here. And so you can see all the needle marks. There's probably like 100 needle. And it goes in, and she has to get the angles, and like it hurts.
Oh God.
The
How long does it last once you got it?
It's supposed to be like almost 6 months to a year. I feel like it depends on a lot of things. Like I don't know. It just metabolizes. Like so, if you I don't know if people are biting your lips a lot, like they will go way faster. But I don't know what your sexual practice is. I don't need to know. But I'm just saying, I think it depends on what's happening in your life. But and just everybody's body is different, but I feel like my top one's already gone away a lot. I think it's a slippery slope though, because that's why I literally think of you all the time, because you've always had really full lips, and it's been like one of the like everyone has their like pretty thing that like you can be good looking, but everyone has a thing that I think everyone's like. I always thought that's why you were Smashalina Jolie in roller derby, because you have her lips.
I think that's part of the reason why. I mean, I've always loved Angelina Jolie, and somebody at the time gave me the suggestion for the name because I wanted like a celebrity parody, and
Yeah.
that one he said, and I was like, oh, that's good. But yeah, I think there's there's a little
So
bit of that too.
but I'm having a thing where I'm like they're not big enough. Like I want them bigger. I want them bigger. And like you can't. I don't
Yeah.
want to be that person. I don't want to be Lisa Rinna.
Oh God, yeah, no. And it's there's definitely a line between just like kind of a little bit of a natural enhancement and like uh-oh face. And
Hmm.
you can tell like it's one of those things where you can't really define it, but like when you see it. Kind of like
Yes.
pornography. You can't define it, but you know it when you see it. Just the same
Exactly.
thing. Like when there's too much going on. Um or when people start doing it too young too. Like I feel like we're at the age where it makes sense that like, people are starting to want to do it, but like I
Oh,
gotta
there's
our 20-year-olds getting this
yeah.
shit done?
Yes, but here's why. Like Jennifer Aniston claims that she's always gotten it done because it's preventative. So there's people that are saying that. I don't know if that's
Preventative for what? Like, what is
like
it preventing?
if you get it when you just start getting really fine lines, that you don't get more wrinkles over the years.
Oh, okay.
And
Like
so,
Botox and whatever.
uh-huh, like Botox. And so I don't know, man. Eh, that's where I'm just like, I don't know, because I have a couple little crow's feet right here and these bags under my eyes that if I were gonna get anything, that's what, and then when I say that, everyone's like, you don't even have forehead wrinkles. I'm like, I know, but I have this and it bothers me. But like I'm 43, like who the fuck cares? I guess like I'm just kind of like trying to embrace that now more and be like, you know what? Even when you look too perfect, then nobody's getting to know you anyway. So like it's like, well, just be whatever the fuck you are.
Yeah. There's no character in flat no wrinkle faces when people are our age.
I know, and like 99% of my work is done on apps where you can put on a light filter so they don't even see the
Yeah.
bags under your eyes. Or like I don't really always put on, some days I go full glam with makeup, but lately I haven't been. But you can just put on a filter that makes it look like you do. So it's like, oh, who the fuck cares? I can be fat and with a good camera angle now. And no makeup on, and everyone tells me how gorgeous I am, and I'm like, thank you. I know that.
I love it. I love it.
I'm just
That's
getting
great.
the people to love bomb me. I'm catfishing everybody. No.
Well, you're doing a good job at it. Whatever you're doing, keep it up. So I mean, it is impressive to see what you've been able to do with all of this in the last few years. And like it is a world that I don't understand. So I'm super fascinated by it. Like I don't understand TikTok. I don't understand making a living off of social media, but I love that it's a thing. And
Yeah,
I don't I would not be able to describe where money comes from or how work is done, but I know that a lot of work goes into it, and I am proud of you.
well, I'll tell you because I get this question, especially with guys I would start dating. They were always like, "So where do?" Or people are like, "So how does like TikTok pay you?" And they don't. So for me, and everyone's different, but I don't have that many followers really. Like 40,000 is not that many. Um, I mean, I'm in the creator fund, but if I make $40 a month on the creator fund, that's a good month. One, sometimes I'll have a video blow up and I make 60, but it's like that's nothing, right? Compared to, and gifts, like that's not a lot of money. But all my money's through bookings. So people, you know, book one-on-one tarot and shamanic healing with me based on seeing me in the content. So
Okay.
if like my tarot, I do a daily reading, you know, on Insta, YouTube, and TikTok, and then if that resonates with people, they'll book with me one on one and be like, oh my god, I need to talk to you because that reading was so good, or I just like your energy or whatever.
Right.
And so and then the I was able to quit my day job when I realized I could go live on TikTok and then charge $11 per reading on live while I'm on there. So
Mhm.
they're booking directly through my website to get in line while I'm on live. And you know, you do enough of those in an hour and they move quickly. And then so that's a bulk of my money too. So it's all just through booking. So like
Okay.
but it's not through the content just gets my following so that the right people find me. Um, but that's like how it gets monetized for me. I think every content creator is different. It depends on your niche and what you're doing too. Um, I had a rule since the beginning, and I don't know if have you ever heard of human design?
Mm-mm.
It's a weird spiritual thing, but it's like instead of astrology, it's like this. It's a different way to chart energy, or I don't know, whatever. But it's based on when you were born, and it's like it tells you like how you're supposed to be successful in life. Ginny's digging through the toilet. Been over there, it's loud. But she it mine says that like basically I'm always supposed to be wait to be invited to the party. Like I shouldn't ever be driving outcomes. I should just be kind of like sitting around living my life and waiting for someone to say like, "Hey, I really think you should go live and let me pay you for readings." And like so people started asking in the comments, "Why don't you ever go live?" And I was like, "Oh, I didn't know that was a thing. I didn't know what it was or what was a thing."
Yeah.
But I know that I know that when people tell me that they want something, I'm supposed to listen. So I was like,
Interesting.
okay. So I started going live, just doing free collective readings, and they were like, "Can we pay you for personal readings?" I'm like, "Well, why would you want to sit and watch me do someone's private readings?" Like I
Right.
was like, that's the weirdest thing ever. Like you guys would all just want to watch. And yeah, they do. That's what, so we call it bathroom line style when I go on live, because it's like you get in line and then you sit and watch the shit show and talk to other people in the comments like you're at a bar bathroom line, right? Like
Right.
that's the most fun part about it. And
Oh,
like
fun.
people just leave it on the back in the background while they're at work, and they're like, I feel like I'm in like a doctor's office waiting room. It's just like insanity. Like, yeah. So again, you get to hear everyone's lives, and then like sometimes it's the same people every day. So like you get invested in their storyline with their ex-boyfriend who moved in a new girlfriend or whatever it is, you know?
Ooh, that is interesting because I love there's a couple of podcasts that I listen to that are just focused on other people's like gossip, where not like celebrity
Yes.
gossip or whatever, just like people submit stories of like gossip of like their own coworkers or like people they know, and then like they read the stories on the podcast and they talk about them, and it's fascinating to
Yes.
hear other people's stuff.
Well, and that's why I started doing the podcast, because not a ton of people listen to, but the people from my lives are most of them, because they're like, I just like hearing the things you talk about and your perspectives on stuff. And I don't know, it's just, it's, you know,
Yeah.
so it's kind of cool. So like, yeah, then people are asking me, oh, you should do a podcast. And I'm like, okay. So I figured out how to do a podcast. Like, so I just kind of, and when people, I asked me to teach classes, I started teaching classes, and that was a nice revenue stream for me. And they learned a lot and got to work on themselves. So like, I don't know, I just keep waiting until people ask for stuff so I can have reciprocated value and find a way to monetize it. And, you know, people want to spend money on that stuff. So
Might as well be
do it.
you. And I think it takes a certain type of skill to be open to that too, right? To be open to the different opportunities and not to say like this is what I do, this is who I am. Like if
Yeah.
you're and if that makes sense, if you're the type to need to be, if you're the needing to be invited to the part, like whatever
Yeah.
that is, like it's just showing that like your energy is ready, and or like you're ready
Yeah.
to, you're always in ready position, and you're just waiting for like what the next move is, but somebody's got to kind of point that out and point you in the direction to go, and you'll be ready
Yes.
to go.
Which is, I hate making like decisions. I always joke like I have never had an original thought. Like when Bradley and I talk about doing artwork, he makes all this original stuff, you know, all the time, content. And I'm like, I just replicate things I see. I'm great at that and doing it funny, but like I don't have a very, and so we all kind of got to know who we are, but that's great. So it works out well, because when people say they want something, I'm like, oh, I can make that. I have the skill set to do that. Or all right. It's also, it's where it, my life experience has set me up in a way that I just like, and not many people could be like, oh, okay, and like figure out how to fully do a podcast in a day. I mean, I don't think it's that hard, but it's not like, you know what I mean? Like, as I was doing it, I was certainly acknowledging, like, oh, my life experience made this really simple, you
Mhm.
know?
Right. Yeah, you've built up the skills up into this point, and like you know how to use the tools to market what you're doing too. Like it's not like you're starting completely from scratch.
No, and in the beginning, so that's how it all got started. I started posting tarot on TikTok because I don't know, it was quarantine, I was bored. But and one of them blew up. And then in the comments, someone was like, do you do private readings? And I was like, okay.
Sure.
So I set up a website that night. I set up my website and like got it all going. So a lot of folks on that do tarot on TikTok still just have them pay directly via PayPal and email them for, and I was like, I'm not, who has fucking time for that? I want a fully automated self-booking system that ties into my Google. But I had been working setting up ERP systems, you know, software, and for businesses, for large businesses, for my whole career. So like I already knew technology could do a lot of stuff for us, and the whole treasury management side behind it, I obviously knew, and the bookkeeping and that, like you know, so it's kind of easier for me. And the other thing is too that people don't realize is like, you know how a lot of content creators, I don't know if you know this, but they use Linktree, you know.
Oh yeah.
So so you can only usually put one link on like Insta or TikTok for your website, and they'll use Linktree to link to all the different things. Well, I worked in business long enough to know you want to drive everyone to your website and get them to subscribe so that you have all their info. So everything goes to my website, and I built my own website so I can add and take shit off of there all the time. So everything's on there. I don't use Linktree, and like that's been a big, because if I want to send an email blast, I've got 3,000 people just on there, you know.
Yeah.
So I mean, I just think things like that. A lot of people that, there's just, my life experience has helped me. I don't know that, that's why I'm like, well, I don't know that everyone would have been successful. It was a unique experience for me, is what I'm saying.
Right. Like you had the you were in the right place at the right time with the right skills. So
Yeah.
like question for you. So you're like knowing that like some of the things, the new things that you've added and have started doing have come have been inspired by the requests of others, right? But like, are
Mhm.
there things that you are wanting to do, or like when you see, like, think about yourself in like 3 years from now, like what are the things that you like? Is it consulting for other people? Is it other things with like teaching? Is it more like online based stuff, or is it more like in person now that that's more of a possibility than when you started? Like, what are the things that you're thinking about? Like, my gentle way of asking, like, what's your 3-year plan? Just
Yeah.
out of curiosity, and more than anything, it's not like a not
Yeah.
like a question to prove any sort of, viability. It's just like, what are your
Yeah.
thoughts, and where do you want to go with this?
Yeah. So, I mean, like, I've had extensive training in shamanism now, so that's my core. I mean, tarot's just another form of divination, but like, the Peruvian tracking and divination and shamanism shit that I've learned is like, n- not a lot of people can do that. Like, I can literally journey your past lives and fucking clear soul contracts and do soul retrievals, and that's such powerful work to me. And just even a quick chakra tune up on someone or cutting energetic cords, like my specialty in shamanism is helping people with their relationships while they're living, so that because we all come here, I believe, to die a good death on the day of our choosing from a place of alignment. And you work out a lot of your shit, your childhood trauma and your past life trauma through relationships. And so that's with all my Libra energy, that's my shit. So, um, and I know it's real, and I know going to see a psychic or a medium or a tarot reader is one of the oldest professions. And anywhere I go or any new clients I find, like, they immediately identify that it's real deal shit and they come back. So I don't worry about it because I literally could, anywhere I move, I could go to the beach with some fucking cards and have a clientele in a couple of, it's the oldest profession. People are always going to need it. Like, so um, I know I'm always going to be doing that within those boundaries. There's so many different things I could or ways I could use it that it's like it's fine. That it's like I don't know. I just am gonna go where it takes me. I think Rad really wants to stay here for a while, and his dad is here. So like I'm kind of stuck physically in Green Bay for probably the next 10 years. And because my teacher Amy has that retreat center here, the particular work I do, while it's really rare to find anywhere in the world, it's not so rare in Green Bay because it's saturated because there's the proximity of her stuff. So one of my other clients is flying up from Texas to get trained by her starting in December, and she lives in Fort Worth, Dallas. She's like, there's only like one other shamanic practitioner here, so I would really, I could have a pretty big practice. It's a thing, and even like it's pretty big. They're all over it. When you go to Sedona, there's a bunch of them there, but other than that, so I. I think eventually I'd like to have more of an in-person practice, but back to what you and I were talking about, but like not really wanting to people. I really like that I get to do it all via Zoom. So I don't know. I mean, I think I'm gonna. That's why like I started posting on YouTube because when they rolled out Shorts, and then TikTok monetized Reels, or not TikTok, Insta monetized Reels. So I started doing different ones on there, and I'm actually getting traction there too. So I think for me, it's just staying on top of what social medias are trending because it's not going to be TikTok forever, right? And that's why even like Be Real started happening, and I was like, well, I'll do Be Real because what if that's going to end up being something? But then I was like, I don't like this, so I stopped doing it. But like I think it's just like trying shit, and then like somebody, I think like one of the next things I need to start doing. People have been asking me about destiny tracking, and so I have all these skills I don't even know how to like tell people I know how to do because I've learned so much. So like destiny tracking is figuring out like what you're supposed to be doing with your gifts in life.
Mhm.
And so like I need to start offering that as a called out service versus just saying you can book a one-on-one with me and people don't know what they could even do with me. You know what I mean?
Right. Right. Well, yeah, I mean, I will tell you, like, I know I kind of understand, or I do understand most of the things that you are currently doing, but like, I feel like I would want you to, like, I would want to sit down in front of you and just have you tell me, like, these are the things that I think, these are the things that I think you need. Like, I wouldn't
Yeah.
even know, like, how to, um, like, pick out what I would, I guess, because this is these tools and these things that you do are things that I like have knowledge of, but like I don't seek them out. But I see the
Yeah.
value in them. So I wonder too, and this is just more about, kind of like thinking about how I relate to your stuff is that I I would be very curious to kind of have some of those skills applied to do your magic on me. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm trying to in a roundabout way.
Yeah. And so I think that's where my practices evolve more into too. When people come to me for tarot, even I'm like, now I'm just like, because my teacher, Jose Luis from Peru, the way he says it, when he taught us tracking divination at my last retreat, he was like, I was talking to him about a reading he did on me, and he was like, "What do you want? What do you want?" So what shaman can do is you take what you want in life, and we can read the energy to see the possibilities of that, and then we can help guide you on how to bring that 2% chance of the thing you really want that is only 2%, and how to bring that into vision to be 100%. And it's through looking at your shit and working on yourself and making some tough calls. You got to get out the bulldozer sometimes. And God knows I've been pushed to do things I was terrified to do, and I still do. But that's the work. So that's what shaman can or shamanic practitioners can guide people through, and that's unique work. So like when people come to me, I always say I hook them for the tarot, but they stay for the healing, because they might just be coming because of a boyfriend, but it helps them to hear everything they need to hear. And the other part of it that is like I mean, like it's real deal. I can fucking talk to dead people. Like I talk to my ancestors. I talk to people that are on the other side. It's real shit. And like, I don't like go around bragging about some of this stuff, but sometimes I'm, doing tarot about someone, whether their ex-boyfriend's gonna text me today. I'm like, I could literally be having you talk to your grandma right now, but you want to know about some dusty ass, but that's not my area. That's not my area that I'm going to specialize in. So that's not really, you know what I mean? Like, and I know that, so it's okay. But like, it's pretty cool. I mean, it is pretty cool. So, and that where that comes into play is if we ever have a lot of unresolved things around like someone we've lost, like that can be really comforting. And I've had some clients come for that too. So that's cool. I also like have a lot of training on helping people cross over. So like when someone's actively dying, like helping their soul release and like cross over. And that's really beautiful work. That's not going to be, again, my specialty, but I think that's going to be a thing where in my life with people that are close to me, like I think that guiding people home is part of,
Yeah.
So, I mean, like kind of like very much a death doula. That's what
Absolutely,
Shem.
yeah. I've heard of that.
So I know how to do that. I know how to do all this stuff. So it's just like, that's what everyone's like, oh, you can always go back to corporate finance. And I was like, I would never know, because why would I do that when I could fucking tell you your future? No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, it'd be a big shock to the system to go back to something. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
I couldn't see you going back to that after living in this world now.
I've gotten to, well, because nothing's real. So even when I hear people now talk, like to me, everything's a reflection of where I'm at. So I know if I don't have a lot of clients or my work's slow or something, it's because there's something within me that I got to look at. Just kind of like how I was talking to you, because that's the process. Like not talking to you about you, but talking to you about just now about like that vision and bringing the 1% in there. So when I have friends and like, how's work? And then they start telling me, like, well, Nancy next to me said this, and like, I can't fucking believe blah, blah, blah. And they're getting into the weeds on all the details. I'm just like, none of this is real. You're just pushing paper around a building. Like, I've done it.
It's true. Yeah, it's true. I feel that too, especially just after like the last few years. Like money's not real, nothing's real. Like the relationships you have in your life, that is it. Like there's nothing else that is.
Yeah.
The people you love, that is it. And like literally up is down, down is up. Money doesn't matter. It can go, it can come. It doesn't, I don't know.
Well, because we all are going to experience it the way we're going to experience it, no matter what. Like, I have, I could have 40,000 followers on TikTok and feel like nobody likes me, but somebody else has 200, Insta followers or whatever, and they think that's wonderful. It's all our perception. Yeah, it doesn't matter how much I made in my life, and I made very little. I've made a lot at times, and I've always felt broke. Jared and I used to joke about that. We're like, it doesn't fucking matter anymore. We're just gonna be broke at the end of, we're gonna spend our whole paycheck, whether it's like $3,000 or 500, so fuck it.
Yeah. It comes, it goes. Like, I don't know. It's freeing to kind of not worry about that shit too, and to just I don't know. There's other shit to worry about.
Well, and that's one of the things I need to work on right now is like real life. I need to get back to real life. So that was my big reality check this month. I started this, like, quite frankly, with a really large cash savings and like a plan for budgeting as a person who runs my own business. And then I got sick with pneumonia last February, and I had to use it,
Mhm.
but then I didn't rebuild it. So when I got sick last month, that was a problem because I wasn't ready. So I had to bust in, fortunately I have investments and stuff, but like, it was not the time in a downturn market to be taking money out of shit and getting penalties. So, and then, my health and then my weight kind of got a little, because I'm not like, nothing's real, I can eat whatever I want. Like, that's also not true. So like, you can't,
Some
you
things
have,
aren't real. It's true. Some things are
you can't,
actually real.
you have to be grounded in reality, and you have to take care of yourself and like be a little realistic. And I was too up here. So like spirit kicked my ass, and now I gotta go back to basics. And that's part of why I got rid of eyelashes and everything too, because it's like I gotta get really cheap for a while and just like not order DoorDash for every meal. And I don't, yeah, I do, because I don't have my savings. So like, how
Well,
dare I? You know?
it's expensive.
I know. But you get used to it. You get used to that habit, and then you just keep doing it. And for a while, I was making so much money on live that it was like, well, if I can do 20 readings in an hour, that's $200. Like, of course, it makes sense to not drive and get my own food, because that I could look at how much money I could be making right now. But then that stopped happening, and I was like, oh fuck, I need to stop. Why am I still? I'm spending more every day than I'm making. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yep. Also, while you were telling me that, my dog just dumped her food. She's never done this before. Dumped her
Yeah.
food dish out in the kitchen, carried it into, like, I heard food all over the kitchen floor, and she just, with her little dish in her mouth, just carried it into the dining room. And now I hear her on the other side of the table eating what's left in her food dish.
Yeah,
While you were telling me the story, so
she agrees. No.
she agrees.
Dogs always act up in these podcasts. Andy's dog was being crazy, and Junie's always I don't know where she is. Junie has started a new habit where she feeds herself now.
Like, she gets the food out and she, yeah.
So I keep the dog food bag in a big Rubbermaid container, and it's on the floor in her there's a walk-in closet here that's like her room
Mhm.
with her crate and stuff. And she learned how to open up the Rubbermaid container. So like, and she just, when it's time to eat, she goes in there and she takes the lid off and she puts her face in the bag and she just eats. And I'll know, because every day around 1 or 2, if I haven't fed her, she usually comes and finds me, and it gets really annoying until I feed her. And she stopped doing it. So I was like, well, so like I came downstairs and looked, and she had opened it. I was like, well, I'm not going to feed you. You obviously already helped yourself and can at any time. So like, now we're just in a world where most days I don't feed her anymore. She just,
She takes care of it on her own.
I, I don't know how I feel about it, Beth. I mean, she's self-sufficient, so that's nice.
She's real cute. She's real, real cute.
I don't know. I mean, like, she's on diet food, so I feel like it should be more measured. But we'll just see how this goes. And she's not overeating it though. She's not like
She's
she's.
sensible.
It's so weird. And she's trained to go on pads, and she's really good about that. So like, I'm kind of at a point where like she's just like a roommate. I could leave for a couple days. I think she could handle it all. If I could teach her how to use a washing machine to wash the pads, she'd just be like,
You come back to the house, she's got some buddies over, she's got a poker game going, like she's smoking a cigar and like eating a bag of Doritos. She's
yeah.
like, what's up?
I don't know. She's a weirdo. Well, good. Do you feel all caught up in what's going on in my life now?
I do. I was just thinking too, as this is going on, like, this is like the height of self-indulgence for you and I. I don't know if anyone else will find any of this interesting, because it's just like, what have you been up to? And it's just you and I catching up the way that we catch up. So I don't know if this is going to be terribly interesting for anyone else, but I'm very grateful for that.
This is all that my podcast is. You've been listening to it. It's just me talking to people. Like, no plan. Okay, let's ask you this. I'll ask an actual, let's pretend like I'm a professional, and I'm going to ask a question.
Please.
Beth,
Yes.
since you have known me, well, first of all, I feel like if anyone's still listening at this point, they've earned the right to know that we were frenemies until seventh grade, but
That's right.
we've known each other our whole lives. And then we became best friends. But what do you think people don't know or would be surprised to know that just only know me from TikTok just based on what you've heard in podcasts and stuff?
Oh, that's an excellent question. That's an excellent question. Um, I'm gonna go back to this thing about no depth, no emotion, not feeling anything. Though, again, like I said earlier, I laughed because it's funny because I see why you say that. I actually think you are uh very well connected with your emotions. Like I think about our all of my memories with you, were crying or laughing, I think almost all of the time, right? Like there's big laughter or big tears just about every time we interact. Like it's rare that we're not, like, one of us isn't completely breaking down or completely like just full of belly laughs, right? And or when we're really pissed off about something, like I love the laser pointer angry. Like just when I get so pissed off about something so random, like the only person, like I may like let Nick know because he may find the humor in it or how ridiculous it is, but I'll text you like, this is something that, like, the other day I texted you about something about just something that annoys me. And I feel like you definitely do feel and I experience with you like all sorts of emotions regularly. So I think I don't think it's an untruth or a lie that you don't have depth or don't have emotions, but there's a wide range there that you feel intensely and regularly, and maybe sometimes you don't recognize it.
Yeah, that makes sense. Okay, tell the laser pointer angry story from your reframe of reference because I was trying to tell some the other day and I feel like I rewrote it or lost parts of it.
I don't even remember. I remember the origin was when you were and Jared were living in over in Bayview, right? At that little house. There was something that happened
It was
there.
a show. It was on a show. It was on a TV
On
show.
a
It was a
show.
yeah. See, I remember better than you.
No, you absolutely would remember more than me. And like you, because this came from like this reference came from you, and we thought it was
Yeah.
so great, and it was like did
Okay, I remember. I'll tell you.
you have to tell the story. I
It
clearly
was
don't remember.
I was like a daytime TV show, so like not Jerry Springer, but something like that. And this lady was convinced the guy was cheating and that they were using a signal that the girl would come over and put laser pointers through the
Yes,
window. Was this
yes,
right?
I think so.
And then he would know to leave. And she got so fucking crazy. She
Yeah,
was so mad and she was so irrationally mad about it. But like
yeah,
I think there was a lie detector show and it determined that it was not true. It
yeah.
was not happening. It was only happening in her head. It was like she was delusional. So we started calling that laser pointer
Laser pointer
angry.
angry. Yeah, yeah. And it's when something makes you so like the criteria is like it invokes an immediate reaction, pure anger, like
Over
seeing
the
red,
top.
over
Over
the
the
top,
top.
like really. And it can't really be something like if you describe that situation to anyone else who's rational, they would not find it to be like even annoying in the least. Like it's something that's very
Yeah.
personal and very um like, and it strikes you in such a way that nothing in the world, with all of the injustices in the world, makes you more angry than this thing.
Yeah, I agree. And
Yeah,
like it's like an unwarranted emotional dysregulation.
absolutely. It comes up and and I feel like every single time you've been laser pointer angry at something and you've described it to me, I'm like, fuck yeah, that sounds terrible. I hate that too.
Yours, it's so funny because yours was about was about a certain dynamic within a group chat. And when you said it, I was like, oh, I removed myself. I'm not in one group chat. I
Yeah,
just don't
they're
anymore.
draining. I
I
find them
don't.
to be I find them to be draining. Like, and the one in particular, it's a group of lovely people and it's fun stuff, but like I feel like a group text situation it's a constant conversation. Like even though it's
Yeah.
not actual noise, it's noise. And like
Yeah.
how draining would it be if you were sitting around a table with the same people you're in a text with, and the texts that come through kind of through the day are like conversations that are had. Like at some point you have to be like, I can't. And Nick's got a few going with his family, and it's so funny. They do a family Wordle one where they all share the
Yes.
Wordle score every day, which is very innocuous and like fun. And like I was into Wordle before Nick, and when he got into doing it every day, he was like, "Oh, do you want to join the family Wordle text?" And I was like, "No, I can't think of anything worse than getting 16 messages from people like, here's my Wordle score every day." Like that sounds terrible. It sounds terrible.
Especially because Nick doesn't even answer text. So why he is in a group text?
Oh no, he does. He does
And,
emails. He doesn't answer emails. Texts he does, but emails he doesn't.
he used to be bad at text, or he was just like
Yeah, probably. He's much better at text now. But yeah, and it never, my annoyance with that is never related to
I know.
the people in it. And it is fun to be able to stay connected, but it's just like one of these things.
Yeah.
I want to like dip in like every once in a while when you, me and Katie like have one where it's like, here's a bit of information about somebody we know. Here's a meme. Here's this. Like, great.
We're good about it.
Let me get it, and then let me dip out. Let me go.
I know. There's this trend going around TikTok about like, what is your family's group text chat name? Like you can name a group text. I don't know if it's just iPhone users or what it is, but whatever. And I was looking at it and I was like, families have group chats. Like my family does not. The minute my mom tries to start anything, my brother and I are just like, no, we're not.
It's too much.
And my dad would never either.
We've got one. It's for the most part fairly useful. I don't participate in it as much, but it's like if it's for like, this is what we're doing, this is what I need you to bring on Saturday, like that kind of thing I can handle. And especially like if it's ease of operation, better just to like send one text out to a lot of people. But I just can't handle like feeling like there's a constant conversation going, like I feel like when the conversation's done, the conversation's done. Like you and me at some point are going to be done with this web or this podcast, and then we're going to be done. And then we're going to move on with our day. We're not going to keep this video open and like through our day as we're doing things and like chatting.
Yes.
Like I'm not going to be doing dishes later with the phone. Like this is not going to be like, that's what it feels like to me. That's what a group like chat communication feels like to me.
I agree. My family's just always so ready to get away from each other. Like my dad will sometimes, do a group text with just like me and my brother and be like, we're doing dinner at 2 on Sunday. Okay. And like, but he's like, okay. And I'm like, see you then. And then that's literally it. Like,
I feel like that's not even a group text situation. That's just like, I need to tell you dinner's at 2, but I don't want to send 2 texts. I love that. I love that economy with time. I love that he's got better shit to do. Like he doesn't even want to call you guys. He's just like, come at 2. Like perfect. I love it.
And that's partially why I am the way I am. Because both my parents are like nobody even says hello or goodbye on the phone. They're just like, they get the point out and then they're gone. And
you said that in your like right away, like in your intro to your mom's podcast, and I didn't know that about you guys.
Oh, yeah.
You I guess I've never spoken on, well, maybe I've spoken on the phone with your brother for like insurance stuff, and I may have had phone conversations with, I don't know, but like
him and I are better. Him and I are good communicators.
Yeah.
But when we have to.
Right.
So my mom, Jenny, and when we were roommates, when landlines were a thing, back in my day, we had landline phones. So Jenny and I on the phone, our voices sound very similar. It was a thing when we were roommates. So like it was constantly happening where someone would call and just start talking to the one of us that answered, and it was the wrong one. And one time it was her dad, and she hadn't talked to him in like 12 years, so that was weird. But anyway, okay, so my mom, though, she doesn't even ask for anyone. She doesn't, when on a landline, when you would call, especially if you know someone as a roommate, it was customary to say, hi, is this Andrew? Hey, is this Andrew, Jenny? Or can I talk to Andrew? No, she would just
dive right in.
Jenny would say hello, and she'd be like, I need to see you, blah, blah, blah. I'm going to be there in 2 hours, and then make sure you call your brother, and blah, blah, blah. And then she'd hang up. And Jenny would be like, okay. So Jenny would just like write it down for me, but like, because we've been best friends forever, so it doesn't matter. But yeah, it's like, she doesn't, and then she'll just, when she's done talking, she just like goes.
I love that. That's so funny to me, because knowing both Jenny and your mom, like I love that, like I love that. I can picture this happening, and it's so funny to me that your mom's just like, here's the message, bye. And Jenny's like, okay.
Didn't you ever hear the story about, so Andy Stanislaw, who I just interviewed on here, my brother's name is also Andy. So I used to, I communicate the same way. Like I kind of do. I don't anymore. I did for a while. But when we were in our 20s, it was Easter morning. And remember how like in our 20s, everyone would just get so fucking shit faced the night before a holiday, and then we wake up hungover and all have to go to our respective families, like dying.
Yeah.
So I remember waking up Easter morning still drunk, like fucking kill me. And I called, I thought it was my brother in my cell phone, and I didn't say hello. I was just like, "What time are you getting to mom's? Or what time are you getting to grandma's?" And it
You
was
probably
instant.
understand as well.
He was
Oh,
like, "What?" And I go, "When are you fucking getting to grandma's? I'm so drunk. I'm gonna die." And he was like, "Aunt, I'm not coming to your grandma's today." And then I was, he knew right away. He knew right away that I went to call my brother, but like,
oh, I have not heard that. That's so funny. That's great.
it's one of his favorite stories. But yeah, it's just like we just. Radley was yelling at me for this for dinner at dinner last night too. He was like, "You always talk over me. You interrupt. You have no manners." And I was like, "A conversation is a free for all. Like you got to, if you want to be heard, man, you got to get your voice in there."
Gotta dig in there. You got to dig in there. I with five of us, we like we don't do family dinners as much as we should. Like we're not all sitting around the table together. But when we do, there's like this definite competition between the three kids to like talk about their day. Like somebody will start inevitably. So how was everybody's day? And usually between Lola and Rocco, whoever's gets in there first, it will start to like, well, this is what happened to me, and we'll painstakingly go through like all of the details of the day. And like when you think they're done, right? They come to a lull, and then the other person, like the other one will jump in, and then it's always, I wasn't done. And then it turns into and then like we have to kind of like, it's almost like numbers at the deli, like, okay, well, you're next. And like, okay,
Aw.
we'll listen, and then we'll acknowledge when the story is done so that we can pass the torch on to the next person. And it's a little bit of it is free for all over here, but there's definitely the bigger personalities that get their information out there. So we have to regulate it a little bit, otherwise we'll never hear how Henry's day was.
Exactly. And that's why like Radley's like Jared, where they just sit and I don't know if you remember, like Jared always has these long pauses between everything he says because he really does think about things. And then, so I knew with him, I had to like wait for him to process and then he would answer. Otherwise, it would just be me talking all day. And so, in fact, I remember when we first started dating, I was like, when we talk on the phone, sometimes you don't ever talk. And he's like, "I'm still trying to just understand what you're saying because you talk so fast." So I know that with Radley, so that's what Radley was saying last night. He was just like, but I think it's such a different dynamic. Look at the story you just explained, like versus me, and it's just me and Radley every day. And then I'm like, "How was your day? What happened?" And he was like, "Nothing. I don't, just leave me alone, you know?" And then like later, he might start telling me something, but he doesn't really, I don't know. It comes up later, but like there's never been a day in my life where he's been like, "Let me walk you through my day." I don't think he even remembers what he did today. He's like, "The day's over, let it go." Like, what's
I don't know what happened. Move on, mom.
he's so
Nighttime
funny.
now.
Oh, all right, I gotta go. It's see a man about a horse. I'm just kidding. I have a client. So that was funny.
That's perfect. Perfect. Thank you.
I love you, but I want to see you soon, and thank you for doing this podcast with me. That we'll see if anyone actually made it all the way through. Just let me know because
We should have a code word, and then people should type in the code word, and then they get a discount off of something.
I know.
And also I want to do this again. We'll do it far enough in the future where you have other people who have, stuff that's interesting to talk about with you. But I do really want to remember when you first started doing this, I was like, I want to come on and talk about the Twin Flame podcast.
Yes.
And
Uh,
so I like, just like, let's put a pin in that
This is
because
what I want. You and me and my mom and me explaining to you what twin flames are and what people believe and then watching you react.
yeah. Oh, well, all I know about twin flames is what I learned from the podcast about that Jeff and that Shalia. So like I feel like now I'm an expert. So, and it was a very
Good.
good podcast, but now I feel like I'm an expert and I want to talk, and I would love to do one with your mom and I
That's what
like,
we're doing.
perfect.
Yeah. Let's get
Perfect.
that done. All right, love you. I will talk to you later.
Love you.
Love you. Bye.